Welcome back once again to CBSE Board Economics. I'm Saddam Hussain. A few days are left for your board examination. I'm 100% sure that you all must be seriously preparing for your board exams. Before you go to the board examination, there are some tips. They are very important points I want to discuss how this board exam is going to be different from the earlier board exams. Number one, in the earlier board examinations, the questions were straightforward. Now this year, the trend has totally changed. The questions are all not objective questions, are not one word or two words or three word questions. They're quite lengthy. For example, to make you understand, I'll tell you earlier they used to ask you, explain what are the objectives of government budget briefly. Or they can ask you a straightforward question earlier, explain the objective of redistribution of income of the in the government budget. It's a straightforward question where you are supposed to write maybe 100 words or 150 words. It's straightforward. Students never had any problem. Or they used to ask you question straightforward, explain the concept of investment multiplier or money multiplier. At the most they used to ask you, explain with the help of a numerical example investment multiplier. The same question now they ask you in a different manner. They ask you, for example, we are talking about the objectives of the government budget. They could ask you, the government is spending huge money in some underdeveloped regions. The government has taken loans from World Bank. The government has given infrastructure or something. So then they ask you. Earlier the question was small but the answers were big. Now the trend has changed. These days the questions are big and the answers are small. Maybe sometimes the question may be of a paragraph, maybe 1 page or 2 pages also you have, and then your answer may be 30 words or 60 words or at the most 150 words. So what I suggest you is read the question paper carefully. Read the question paper carefully, understand what exactly they are asking you to write, and write as briefly as you can and to the point what exactly you are supposed to write. So the questions are quite lengthy, the answers are too small. So don't write lengthy answers, write smart answers, what is expected of you. There is no ready-made answer this year. You have to write it from your heart. So for that, what I suggest you now, even though we have few days left for the examination, smart study. Read the entire subject, understand it carefully, automatically you will be able to write it, whether it's a macroeconomics or Indian economic development. Don't believe some sample papers given by some cheap publishers. They give you straight questions. They are not going to help you in any way. And don't just make selective study. This question is going to come from this chapter and that question is coming from this chapter. Don't do selective study. Learn the entire chapter, understand. Automatically you will be able to write the answers in the examination center. Read the questions carefully. Again I repeat, read them repeatedly and after that get the answer in your mind and put it on the paper. To show this, I picked up 2 questions from this year sample paper issued by CBSE to make you understand how your answer should be. So the same question they asked earlier previous years in a different manner. Now see, look at this question, read carefully. I go off the screen here, I'll read the question, please see here. During the colonial period, India's foreign trade was characterized by a large export surplus. Read again, during the colonial period. Colonial period means during the British period when India was under the British control, India's foreign trade was characterized by a large export surplus. So exports were more than imports. However, so it led to export surplus. However, this did not result in any flow of gold or silver into India. So the marks are 3 marks. Why? We'll be answering this question. So this 3 marks means you are supposed to write maybe 60 words or 70 words, board sample paper 2025. I repeat again, during the colonial period, India's foreign trade was characterized by large export surplus. However, this did not result in any flow of gold or silver into India. Marks 3. You never expected this kind of question earlier. Earlier, the questions were, what was India's exports and imports during the colonial period? Or what was the state of foreign trade during the colonial period or British time? But the same question is asked in a different manner. So let's understand what this question is about. If there is export surplus, that means exports of the country are more than imports of the country. It leads to export surplus. We exported goods worth maybe $500 million and we imported only $300 million. That means there is $200 million surplus. Export surplus is there. What normally the governments do with the surplus, you already done it in balance of payment chapter. So when you have an export surplus, you buy gold from other countries, you buy gold, they said it, gold or silver from other countries, or you invest in other countries, or you buy securities, bonds, debentures from other countries. It will be beneficial for a country when there is export surplus. Or they put this money in the RBI, Reserve Bank of India. So we already know that official reserve transactions, or they invest in other countries. The country buys gold, imports gold, silver because of this export surplus. But here the question they are asking you is, though we had export surplus during the British period, but during that time India never exported gold or silver. Then what happened to this export surplus? Why the country, in spite of having export surplus during the colonial period or the British period, never bought gold or silver from other countries? Where has this export surplus gone? Where has this export surplus money gone, or the foreign exchange has gone? That's what we are discussing it here. So understand too, very simple. The answer is just, the question is so lengthy, the answer is very simple. Just to be put it in one line. So this export surplus during because we know it, during the British period, the main role or main aim of the Britishers was to exploit. So they used to take raw materials from India and bring their finished goods to sell it in India. They destroyed our industries, they destroyed our small scale industries, they destroyed our handicraft industry, everything, we know it. What kind of exploitation they did. So in spite of having this export surplus, why India never imported gold or silver? Simple logic was, the Britishers used India as a colony. And whatever the export surplus, whatever the extra money they got it by exporting our raw materials and all, that money has been used to meet their own expenses. Maybe they have their offices in India, these Britishers, for those expenses, or during that time the World War was there. So all that money has gone into war expenses, into their official expenses and all. As a result, India could not buy any gold or silver in spite of having the export surplus. That is as simple as that. So I have given the answer also. We'll read it once again. See, now this is the answer. Throughout, look at this one, please read. Throughout the colonial period, India's foreign trade was characterized by significant export surplus. That means there was export surplus during the British period. However, this surplus had detrimental consequences for the country's economy. So it had no positive impact on the country's economy. This export surplus did not bring gold or silver into India. Instead, it was used to cover expenses incurred by an office set up by the colonial government in Britain. The expenses on the war fought by the British government and import of invisible items, invisible means services and all contributed to the drain of India's wealth. So I hope you understood. The question was simple. Why, in spite of having export surplus during the colonial or the British period, why India did not import gold or silver? The simple logic was the main aim of the Britishers was to exploit. They made it a colony and they ruined our industries and all. The export surplus, they used it for their offices in England or Britain, and also the export surplus has been used for war expenses. That is the answer. So as simple as the question is so big, but the answer is too small. There are two reasons. Number one, this export surplus, they used it as for war expenses. Number two, for their offices in England or in Britain or somewhere else, including in India. So that export surplus has been used. It's not properly utilized for the economic development of India. That is the answer. So I quickly read it last time, understand once again. So read the questions carefully and write brief answers. This year the questions are lengthy but the answers are short, unlike the previous years. So look at this question once again. I repeat for you. Once again we read it last time. So this is India's, look at this one. During the colonial period, India's foreign trade was characterized by a large export surplus. However, this did not result in any flow of gold or silver into India. This is for 3 marks. On the board sample paper 2025, the answer is, you don't have to write the same answer. You can write it in simple words, which I just told you. Number one is, all this export surplus has been used by the Britishers to meet their office expenses in England as well as in India and somewhere else in the world. And number two is, this export surplus was misused for war expenses. That's it. So throughout the colonial period, India's foreign trade was characterized by significant export surplus. However, this surplus had detrimental consequences for the country's economy. This export surplus did not bring gold or silver into India. Instead, it was used to cover expenses incurred by an office set up by the colonial government in Britain, the expenses on the war fought by the British government, and import of invisible items, that is import of services from England, all contributed to the drain of India's wealth. Now we go to see one more such question. Long question, but the answers are short. Understand. Let's read the other question. Look at this one carefully. Explain the rationale behind choosing self-reliance as a central planning objective in India's developmental strategy. Marks 3 again, CBSE board sample paper 2025. These two questions came for 6 marks. Now the question, understand, explain the rationale behind choosing self-reliance as a central planning objective in India's developmental strategy. That also came in the board exams. What this question is, understand, previous years, earlier years in the board exam, the question came as, what is the objective of planning? Objective self-reliance, not planning, your self-reliance. Explain the objective of self-reliance. That is the question, simple. But now they asked to give you a paragraph. Now, what exactly is, why India adopted self-reliance? Again, answer is simple, maybe 60 words. Number one, India adopted self-reliance. Self-reliance means, let's not depend on for goods from other countries. Let's manufacture them within the country, make in India. Let's manufacture. So that is self-reliance. So when you do this, obviously we'll be protecting our own industries. Otherwise our industries will collapse. Number two is, When we import goods from other countries, our foreign exchange will go to those countries. So self-reliance is very important for 2-3 reasons. Number one, we can protect our industries. Number two, we can save our foreign exchange. Number three, obviously when our industries are running, obviously employment level, everything will go up in the economy, economic development will take place. That is simple answer. Now I repeat the question and answer once again. Explain the rationale behind choosing self-reliance as a central planning objective in India's developmental strategy. This is for 3 marks. Answer is self-reliance was adopted as a central planning objective in India's development strategy by the policymakers due to the following reasons. Look at the reasons. To reduce the dependence on foreign nations, the stress was laid on mobilizing domestic resources, our resources. Number two, it was feared that the dependence on imports of food supplies, foreign technology and foreign capital may, so when you are depending, increase foreign interference in our policies, right? That's another simple point. So that might lead. The simple answer is number one, the country will become dependent on other countries because we're importing food, we're importing their technology, we're importing everything. Number two, I didn't give it here, but you can write it. Our foreign exchange resources will go to other countries. And number three is we can protect our industries when we have self-reliance, so that employment level will go up. Otherwise, when the industry is closed down, employment level will come down. So this type of questions we will gradually give as many questions as we can, so that you get an idea to write these answers. Don't be scared. The question paper is going to be very lengthy in the sense they give you 2-page question, but the answer will be only 2 lines or 3 lines. So read it. Only those students who got a mastery over the subject or who got a thorough understanding of the subject will be able to write it. The students who do selective study, who choose this chapter is important or that chapter is important, this question is important, I'm leaving this question. Now that's a quite dangerous situation. Still you have time. Please make proper use of them. I wish you all the best. Keep watching my videos, and I have given you a lot of shorts, the short videos of 1 minute or maybe 3 minutes. They will be quite helpful to you. So please go through them. So don't forget to subscribe, share and like videos. You can share with your friends. These videos are very helpful for the board examination. You can do a quick revision of them when you are going through them. There are very few videos in English. These videos will help you for those students who have English medium, so all over the country, and especially for CBSE curriculum. That's all we have time. So wait for my next video. Thank you guys. Till we meet next time, it's goodbye from Saddam Hussein. Bye bye guys. See you then. Bye.